Okay, links. Oh, how do I add people? Okay. So quickly, Apple in.
Right here.
I'm not in as myself though, so I'm in as the CMS.
I know, but shouldn't I be able to?
Likely, yes, you should.
Should is a of implications of what should.
RM Hansen 3.
Art M Hansen 3. What? No.
RD Hansen. There you go. 1. RH1. Nope.
Where is that coming from?
RD Hansen at WiscWeb.
Yeah. Where's the RH1 coming from?
I don't know.
10 years old.
The corner.
So you're out of my circles. Should I choose my circles? Turn camera off. No, you cannot see me.
Yeah. There's the microphone settings. It's working. Boy, that was hard.
It's working?
Yes.
It doesn't work. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you.
I would love it if I could plug it in and it worked like that. It does not.
Check.
My audio and I don't hear my audio. And I don't think you can set it up so that you can do anything with it. So you have the controls.
Chose the screenshot.
I'm like looking at it because I'm afraid it's coming down.
Turn it on. Turn it off again. So it works.
Restart, recreate the problem.
You'd be surprised how often that worked at the help desk. Go through a half-hour troubleshooting, restarts, and then you go, I don't know what else to do. Well, they're restarting your computer. I'm going to go talk to something. Oh, it worked now. Great.
Yeah.
Kablam. We got a plasma.
I was wondering who that was.
There we go. Media library. Enhanced media library.
Enhanced
Use
media
it?
library. Have I used it? Yeah.
Is it literally just that tag? Is there anything else to it? I've done a little, I've set up a little demo. I've added some tags. Show it.
Yeah, I'd show them how to add tags.
Yep.
Um,
Tired?
Yeah. What is it?
What? Oh, I have an 11-month-old that won't sleep anymore, and a wife that's 7 months pregnant.
You didn't ask whose fault that is, but we all know.
Well,
How'd that happen?
if you want too much information, I'll have you know
I'm just saying.
the vasectomy was scheduled and she got pregnant. So I don't know how it happened. Yeah. All right. Welcome to the monthly brown bag. Now that I've a couple topics to go over today: Google Maps, how we're going to be handling that in the UW theme. A new plugin that was installed, the Enhanced Media Library, how to use that. Some options for reusable content, because we've been sort of harping on the fact that it doesn't work the same as open text and you can't share text areas between different pages, but there are some options that do exist, and I'm going to highlight a few of those. And then we should have plenty of time for questions if you guys have any. So we will go ahead and get started. So we had been experimenting with some Google Maps plugins since we got WordPress installed for testing, and have, for a variety of reasons, decided not to go with any of them. There's some contracting issues, I understand, because we have to, based on the UW's legal requirements, we have to purchase things that have data housed in the United States. A lot of these Google Maps plugins were developed outside of the US, so there's some sort of data sharing issue there. And in addition, some of them are very complicated. So we've just decided to use embedding Google Maps in the WordPress environment via the Google Maps plugin and their embed code. So this is a document Matt put together. It will walk you through going to maps.google.com. I think one point to really highlight here at the top is that, don't use a personal account to do this. This is something we preach on a regular basis for your analytics, your Postmaster tools, to set up a account that is specific to your department or your group. So for example, even us, for the streams, we have a CMS support account that we use, so that if I leave, if Matt leaves, if Jenna leaves, that account information is passed on and it's not tied to Jenna's personal account, which makes the transition very awkward. So just like that, you'll want to use either the same account or a shared account that's known to your department to set up a map. I'm not gonna necessarily walk through this, but this will allow you to set up a map with pins in Google, and then at the bottom you'll get this embed on my site. Yeah, that's fine. I was like, hey, you're passing me something. Embed on my site, you'll get this code, which then you can put into a text block and the map will show up. We have at least one customer using this already, and this is going to be our probable permanent solution for Google Maps, unless something were to come along that was significantly better and we could meet licensing agreements for it. So please, if you need to use a Google Map, check out this document, use it, give us feedback on it, let us know if it was hard to follow, if something didn't make sense. And with all things Google, this could change. Instructions could change on Google's end at any time. So if you see something that doesn't seem to line up, let us know, because we're not, in there every day checking to see if we live in a cloud world at this point, and they're making updates and we don't know about them. So if you see something that doesn't line up with what we have in our document, let us know and we'll get it up to date again. Yeah.
Is the URL with codes in it, the geographic codes from Google, actually, is it embedding anybody's account information in it?
No, it's just embedding the map. So if you look at, yeah,
So
I don't know if you know a little more about this,
I just
Matt, or
want to
not.
make sure we know, how important is it to actually not be using a personal account when you determine what your.
So when you embed anything, it's just grabbing that piece. It's not grabbing credentials or anything associated with the account and displaying. It's sort of like there's all sorts of pinnings holding up the map, if you will, and it's just grabbing that top
Yeah.
layer of the map.
So in what way will it, what bad thing happens if we're not using?
Okay,
a
so,
service account?
yeah, so if you use a personal account as opposed to a service account, we multiple times a year get requests from our current sites saying, hey, can you give us the analytics information for this account? Our person who used to be this left, and we go, we don't have it because CMS does not maintain those credentials. All we put in is a string associated with that account. So then you have to chase down that person, which may or may not be easy, and then they have to transfer it over, which they may or may not be willing to do because who knows? So it's more of it sets you up to not have a giant pain in the future.
So basically, like when you're adding a pin or a couple pins, it'll save it in that departmental view, so that like let's say you move buildings in the future, you can just like replot it and save it. But if it was all in someone else's account, then like you'd have to set it up.
So you're talking about to actually manage the Google map itself if you've got a lot of customizations to it.
Yes.
My other question is, in my WordPress footer URL for Google Map
Mhm.
is constructed, but I get an error message saying that the embed API must be used in an
Let's
I get the error
check.
message when I go to my site. Footer link.
That might be something we handle one-on-one because I'm not screwed up.
Yeah, we don't
look
see
at
it.
it.
Olympia.
Is it live?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at that afterwards, and then if there's something to share with everybody or something to fix on our end, we'll let you know.
This is actually a WordPress installation.
Oh. Okay.
Using the UW theme with the child theme. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk because we might need to bring April or something into this. Any other questions about Google Maps?
I
Yes.
just have something to share with our
Sure.
group. We had students putting in a department name and sending them to somewhere else. So we narrowed it down that Google was trying to find another location at UW-Madison.
Okay.
It's taking them to South Hall. We were in the Middleton building.
Okay.
So you might want to just double check how people are searching for you on Google Maps. And so we found out that we had to actually send Google a postcard with our address, with our LNS Career Services name associated with our address in the Middleton building for them to correct it. So because it was routing everybody to the South Hall, which we were in the Middleton building, which is very far away.
So that's great.
Just to be aware that students are searching, or anybody is searching you by a variety of different ways. So make sure your department is associated with your building if they do search it.
And then
You'll find
you'll have to
issues.
work with Google in this case,
So-
setting them up right. So that's, again, a consequence of cloud data and,
All our
that's,
students were coming late tonight. Not all of them, but anyone that would not do Middleton building or our address, if they just did our department name.
so, and did your department move from the old, or did Google just
it
had,
was
Google
the
just
way-
had it wrong?
The way it's always been.
Okay.
And we're like, why are these random students showing up late?
I see.
And so we narrowed it down as to how are you searching for us in Google? And they're like, look, this is what we're doing and sending us to South Hall. I'm like, that's a problem. So is it a problem in Scheduler or in Google? So we had to narrow it down. So it was Google Maps.
That's awesome too. I find that very interesting. Hopefully you guys do too. So check that out if you start to use maps and
It's a user experience.
yes, and we don't own again, you're checking your UW sort of information and that's all right. And you're trying to
Yeah.
figure out where this mismatch of information is. So.
But we're moving anyway. So
Well, not you.
it'll be an issue for the next 3 months, but we'll see how it goes. It'll probably be an issue again.
Gotcha. Any other questions or comments on maps? Okay. All right, so next is Enhanced Media Library. This is a plugin that I think we installed last week on all of our WordPress projects, so everyone should have access to it. What this allows you to do is add a couple interesting features, really specifically adding media categories, which I'm going to go over here in a second. So this is your default media library. Previously, up until last week, you did not see this media categories. Now, you have that. media categories function like categories in if you've used document pages, document types, and faculty staff members would be the faculty type. So there's the word categories in there, but to be very confusing, some WordPress uses something called categories, which is typically used for posts. If you use the post feature, you'll probably use categories to sort things. Document pages in there. If you look at our documentation, and when we talk about it, we'll always recommend using document types because they function like categories, but they're specific to documents. If you use categories for document pages, you might pull in posts and other things that you don't want. The same thing goes with faculty types, and now we have another option like that called media categories, which should be used specifically for media. So what are these media categories? They allow you to sort your media, which previously was largely unsortable, by specific categories. So you see I've set up some examples by default. So if you have pictures of the building you work in, you can make a category called building pictures. Faculty pictures would be for faculty staff pages, the images that are used there. Homepage hero carousel, images that you put into or want to put into your carousel. Meeting minutes. So in addition to images, you can do things like put PDFs, Word documents, etc. in a category called meeting minutes. You can add new ones by just typing in here, we'll call these WiscWeb features or something like that. If you want them all to display in a URL, so the slug, if you remember, appears in the slash. So if you wanted this to be a page that displayed all of them, you could create a slug called WiscWeb features. If you wanted to create a hierarchy, you could make one of these a parent page, and you can give it a description. So setting up a category is sort of as simple as that. We don't have a KB document for this yet because we just added it last week and we've been very busy with other things. So now you see I have a new category for WiscWeb features that I can start using. So what I've gone ahead and done ahead of time is I've added a few categories to some of these images. Oh, Matt has a document out there, so I haven't seen it yet. Shows you how busy I am. I'm still dealing with open text and all the fun issues that come up with that. So what I've done is I've taken a few of our pictures in our site and categorized a few of them. So if I click on faculty pictures, I have given these two images. If you click and you'll see all the information that's used to show up with just the image, and now we have these categories. So now I can tag these as faculty pictures. So this drop down here in many ways functions like a foldering system. So instead of seeing folders, you're just going to select in sort of, if you think of your categories as folders, select your folder or category, media category, and you'll see what's in there. What you'll want to do to start using these is first set up your categories, and then add, if you have existing media, click on each of them. And if necessary, and maybe some of them will be uncategorized. And I think that's one of the options here. You can choose something that anything that's not in a media category, so you can see what doesn't have a category attached to it. And then add categories to the existing ones if necessary. As you upload new media, like let's say you're playing the new Legend of Zelda game and you want to put in an image from that game, you can upload it, add caption, alt text, description, and then select your category from the start. And it'll be in the category option. And there's no save option here. You just have to click it and it saves. It does sometimes take a second to upload, to update this number here. But once you've done that, it should show up then as the only image now in the WiscWeb features. So this is basically the replacement for folders. It's conceptually, well, the way you sort of do it is different than folders. You don't right click, create new folder, name the folder, and drag and drop files into it. But functionally, it works very similar to folders. Once you get things kind of set up, hopefully it's a lot easier for you to use and sort your files that way. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you using the enhanced media library or the pro version?
I believe the pro version.
Pro version.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we just bought a similar. It was a $25 unlimited license, and I was
Okay.
offering sharing.
Yeah, I think any plugin we have is if there is a pro version, we get the pro version. So.
Ryan?
Yep.
How do, WiscWeb users then know about a new feature?
In the brown bag, or we will typically make announcements. Well, incorrect. So as we add features, everything that we, so right now there eventually will be a probably an enhanced media library plugin here. It's not here right now because I haven't had time to do it. As we add features, they'll be added to these pages. I guess it is a good point for us to develop a sort of maybe under the announcements, we can put
I think,
as plugins.
yeah, we'll probably do like a news article and then I'll try to put it linked to the announcement so that it's right up front on the homepage of our WiscWeb site.
And we'll keep those active for several weeks.
Is there an RSS feed? Subscribe to for those?
Or we have a listserv, right?
For emails. How would you guys like to hear about updates? A lot of people dislike emails, so that's why
I want to subscribe through an RSS feed.
Okay. Other ways.
Obviously, what you've described on your website. like,
Yep.
that's
So
good.
so
But
by default, that's what we're going to do. But in addition, is there a way we can either have push information to you or have you pull information from us that's better?
I mean, using the listserv works well for me. I'm pro email.
So I realize
It's like the only one
I don't
use,
mind it,
yeah.
but I know some, like, every time I send out an email to the list, I get anywhere from like 1 to 5 people who ask to unsubscribe, which isn't a big deal, but different people like to get different information different ways, and some people, yeah. So
I have not
we could maybe
received
do.
a lot of emails from you.
That's
Yeah.
That's
right.
intentional. Yeah, it is
But-
intentional.
but, So if something were new, I would notice it.
Okay. So what if we
So
did
I
like
like
a monthly update or something like that? So like once a month, here's what's new.
And as long as we can find it somewhere on the web.
With
Instead of
link-
having to go
yes,
back and find it.
with
Oh, yeah, we
yes,
would-
with links to. So a lot of it would probably link to our site where we update our documentation.
But certainly some things like major plugins that are being added, I would hope that you could notify us as soon as you guys felt like you worked out.
Sure. So there may be a period where we activate something, but we don't. It's sort of a quiet pilot, and then once we're ready to have you guys use it. So do you guys like the idea of updating the website and then sending like a once a month email of a summary of what happened in addition to the brown bag? Okay.
So the
Passes.
question I still have
Yes.
is, when the website is updated,
Mhm.
is there a syndication feed that we can subscribe to? Because that's the whole point of
Do
publishing updates to the website, or
are the events feeds
Is the
consumable?
news feed?
The news feed that
Yeah,
we do
like a post
consumable?
list?
Today.whisk is.
To do it in today.whisk. We
But
did
that's
have,
an
like, our
event.
own
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't want to do events. We want to do like,
you
announcements.
publish
yeah.
news or
Like
announcements?
if we make a post,
I don't have to read email, I can just read your.
does it generate a feed? The list of posts.
WordPress typically will generate a feed
Yeah.
unless you change something, so
Okay.
we'd have to look at what it would take to kind of help
As
people
long as you use
consume
We'll
that,
look at
but yeah.
category, we could subscribe to that category.
Right.
easily.
Can you make a note? So look into it. We'll look into it and see if we can come up with something.
Because essentially what I'm thinking is whomever amongst the three of us generates that email, essentially that email will be a post. And we'll post it to the site and send the exact same thing out in an email form. So that way, either A, you consume it through a post, or B, you consume it through an email. Or if you are a regular visitor to the site, you'll see it that way as well. So that would make it easier. So it's less work on us to recreate things repeatedly. So just one statement or one announcement, but in 2 different forms or 2 different locations, we put it, which is not.
And I just want to add, this is the sort of feedback that I love, because a lot of times we don't always know how you guys want things or how to enhance the service. So when you guys give us ideas like this, it's like, the choir starts singing in my head.
Well,
So,
campus with a basket of warm chocolate chip cookies. I'll say, guess what, we got a new feature for you.
do I have to pay for those? Or do we have departmental budget for that? Or
We
Um,
do have a subject line that you could use for each of those.
a consistent one?
Consistent one, yeah.
Yes. So that, yeah. Yes,
You
we'll
may
definitely do
also
that.
be able to look into using some of the space on the dashboard of your site. So like when you log in
Oh,
to
sure.
WordPress,
Mhm.
there might be an area that we could say, like
hey, check out, like, we
You
just
can build
installed
it.
this plugin.
So this is your
Yeah, a
dashboard.
little
So when
widget.
you log in, you see, how many of you look at this every day when you log in? One, not, but not everybody.
Right, yeah, I mean,
But if we were pushing information there,
Yeah.
you might, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a good place.
And a lot of this comes from WordPress. You can see WordPress 4.73 updates and things like that. So great, excellent feedback. Anything else on enhanced media library for now?
so just so you guys know, the KB doc number for the enhanced media library is 70938. That's the KB doc number for it.
70938. So you can just punch that into the search, it'll pull it up, or do a search for enhanced media library.
If you just go directly to our KB and just type in media,
Oh,
we only have three articles.
one other cool thing is we got them to implement a redirect for this, so I guess we should tell you about. Yeah. So if you go to kb.wisc.edu/WiscWeb/WordPress, you will get all the WordPress only documents. Yep, kb.wisc.edu/WiscWeb/WordPress. You will be redirected to only the WordPress documents. You can also click over here on the left and get the same search result, but that's one stop, one URL. So that way, and then you can actually search up here and it'll just search within WordPress. So we have to probably tag yours. Don't worry about it. We'll get it. Thanks, little buddy. Any other questions? All right, so reusing content. I spent some time yesterday doing this just to kind of give a few examples of ways you can reuse the same content so you don't have to update things multiple times. These are not, these won't fill every use case that you'll have, but they're at least something you can look at and figure out how you might want to use. So what I'm going to do here is log into this other site so you can see it on both the end product as well as the how it looks underneath. So I set up this page. I set up this series of pages to kind of show you a few different examples of this. So on the left of this page is just a normal text area with not reusable content. And I'll show you what this looks like in a second. It's lorem ipsum, copied and pasted into there. I have other, as I go to demo 2, you'll see it again, but they're both unique text areas. And if I changed one, I'd have to change the other as well. What I have over here is what's called a group of links. And this feature is in a 2-column layout, 60-40, 60 on the left, 40 on the right. And I've added a group of links over here on the right. That is a menu. Okay. So one of the options in group of links is to use a predefined menu rather than manually typing in each individual link. When you choose a menu, you then can reuse that same menu on other pages. So this is the same menu in a group of links on a different page. And if I were to update that menu with a new link, both pages would update. So that is a way to deliver side navigation on a set of sub pages that you may want to remain consistent because they're all affiliated with a specific major, or they are a particular program or a particular event, and you want all of those to be the same. So I will show you how to do that, the sort of how to in a second. The other content that you can deliver in a reusable fashion are what's called featured content block. And I will show you this in a second as well. But what you have here are, these are actually pages, the brown bags page on the info site. And what it's grabbing here is what's called the excerpt on a page, which I will show you how to get to. So what you can do is create featured content block, choose a page, and have the same excerpt show up on multiple pages. So if you wanted to link to your brown bags page in multiple places and wanted it to say the same thing on all those pages, you can reuse that. I will show you how to do that in a second. So you see on this page, I have brown bags, news, and WiscWeb training. And in demo 3, I have moved those over to the right. They are the same links with the same content going to the same place, displayed in different fashions, but functionally, but underneath is the same. And if you were to update this text, it will update in both places. I also added an image. Yes, and I'll show you that in a second. So I've added it in addition to you have the featured content block allows you to add an image. I just happen to add an image here to show you can actually differentiate them in a little bit. You can use the same image every time you do news if you wanted this image to be there and use it so it displays consistently throughout your site. Does this image link to news? It does. So the image actually is linkable to news as well. All right, so let's see how this looks under the hood. So here is the first page, which let me just show you guys so that we're all in this, remembering what we saw. So this is just the basics. Here's a text block with the text. Again, copied and pasted. If I make a change here, I have to change it anywhere else. I'm using the same text. The group of links, I have said use a predefined menu, yes. And I have chosen this reusable menu demo. If you remember,
So you didn't have to start by picking add page element. You never-
I did. Yeah.
Oh,
So
you
so
did-
yeah.
you
So
did
this
do
this was as if I added a new page,
Oh,
and I chose this layout, and I deleted that. I entered a title. I then added a text here, and I added a group of links here. This is what group of links looks like by default, and you can click these add links to add manual links to go to wherever you want. If you do it this way, each time you want to change or update those links, you have to add a new one, change the one you have, etc. If you know you want this sort of preset across a series of pages, set up a menu.
And would you do this before you set up the menu or set up the menu?
You have to have the pages set up
You
first.
have to do this first.
You don't necessarily have to have the group of links on there first, but you have to have, all right, so let's set up the menu. Let me show you the menu piece because it'll make more sense, I think, this way. I'm gonna leave because I'm not gonna save this.
I don't think there's a right answer to it. I think it's whatever your workflow is that's best. You can create your page and leave nothing on it, and then go create your menu and then come back and add the elements. You can create the menu first. Once you have your menu created, you can then come over and create your page and add your elements to it from that standpoint. The way I think is I like to have all my building blocks in place. So I like to have all my pages built out. Then I'm going to come here, not built out, but have the pages created. They don't have to have content on them. Yep. Then I'll come to my menu page. And in this case, I can either, so one other thing about the menu pages, you guys use this is usually by default, I think it has the last menu you selected or main menu. And a lot of times I get confused because this is, I don't know, I feel like this particular area is a little hidden. So just remember that when you need to edit a menu, you actually have to select your menu first and then choose select to update it, change it over to the different menu. Then you also have to click save at the end when you make changes to it. So this is the reusable menu demo that I'm using. I can look at all my other pages and add another, I already have that one in there before I chose. And I can click on one of them, add it, save it, and now that link is added here and here. Does that make sense? Following a little bit. So again, the way I work is I like to, again, build out, have those pages in existence, whether they have content or not, come here, build out my menu structure, and then I'll go back and add content to them. As you go through, you may find the menus are all editable. So if you add a page and you're like, oh, I need to add that page too, come back to your menu, add that new page that you've added, it updates all. Let's go back to the featured content block to show you the options there. So again, here is, which page is this? Let me go to 2 first. Yeah, they're alphabetical, so 3 is before 2. All right, so this is the page we're gonna see here in WordPress under the hood. Again, text area, if I make changes to it, I have to update it multiple places. Predefined menu, updates automatically. And here's the featured content block. These are the ones that are already in existence. Oh, I'm going to show you this latest post too because that's interesting.
Can we go back to something?
Yes, please.
Can you go to appearance menu?
Yes.
So on one of our Trout Lake Station links,
Mhm.
or actually a faculty page, Steve Carpenter's faculty page,
Mhm.
you click on his full CV, it opens a PDF.
Mhm.
That can't be one of the links in this page, correct?
It can be, but so this is the question we've gone back a little bit. So it can be.
It can be, but it shouldn't be. I get that
It not necessarily shouldn't be. So so all right, I'm going to go over the whole question because I think everyone might be interested.
Good.
So Kelly had a question about a link in navigation going to a document. And my initial response was, you shouldn't have a link to a document in your main navigation, which I basically stand by, because if you ever, people in main navigation are expecting to go to a page. If you click, even if it says like PDF or something here, a lot of times that PDF shows up here on the bottom, and I get very confused sometimes when it's like, oh wait, that was a download, and you lose track of kind of where you are.
Yeah.
So I stand by the fact that in the main menu, you should have everything here linked to a page. And if you want to link to a document, create a page, put the document on there, and then say, this is the document for blah, 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 for enrolling or whatever. If you want to use side navigation, like in here, like let's say campus resources is a PDF.
Yeah.
You should be able to do that by adding a custom link to the individual piece of media. So here's I'll go to that piece in a second. So what I would do here is, in this case, say campus resources, and I would put in here PDF. That's going to clue in anyone clicking on it that this is a document and not a page. Okay, and that's good for a lot of reasons. And then each piece of media has a URL associated with it, and you can use this URL for that piece
Click
of
on one
media.
of the docs just so we can specify, just see exactly.
Right. Yeah. So any
You
piece
just
of
copy that.
copy this, go back to your custom link, add that URL to it, punch it into your menu,
Okay,
or
that's
punch
what
it
I
into
thought
your
you did.
or punch it into your group of links, which should be not in your main navigation, but one
So it
group
would
of
be in
links.
the main.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
over here in the quick links.
Right. Exactly.
section.
When we link to files that we often, we will tell them to open a new tab and show how to do that with the menu screen. It's kind of hidden in the custom. So if you were to add a custom link, it shows up in your menu structure, and you have to have the screen be turned on.
Just about it.
So I've not done this before, so
So just add that custom URL that you just added there. And then click on the pull down arrow there.
I think you have to go to screen options.
Yeah,
at the
screen,
top of
that's
your
what
Oh,
page
up
to
see
see
top.
screen
that.
options. And I don't, yeah.
Up top, the window shade for
It's
screen
quite
options.
I will make one note about,
Link target is the one you have to.
Because you saying that, now the mighty accessibility bat gets to get swung
Yeah.
Right.
around when it comes to opening things in new tabs, because because
Sure.
I stand on a soapbox in training all the time when it comes to accessibility and what you should and shouldn't be doing in regards to this, but I'll let the developers talk because they are the voice of expertise.
I guess it's accessibility standard or best practices, not to open things up in a new tab or a new window. For a couple of reasons. If folks are using screen reader assisted technology and it opens up in a new window, they don't really have a way to get back to the original site or content that they were viewing in the first place. It also has to do with mobile accessibility as well. So like if you open something in a new tab and you're on the phone, that opens up in a new window and you can't hit the back button within your app navigation or on your phone to get back to the previous content. So that's one of the things that is kind of frowned upon as far as accessibility and usability goes.
So does any kind of external links?
Yep.
For both documents and also links to other ones?
Yeah,
So
when I discuss it in training, I strongly encourage folks not to use new tabs for that. The issue that it comes down to from the mobility standpoint, it's a user experience. It does play in with accessibility as well, but it's a user experience functionality there where it opens in a new button. It's not always, browsers on mobile devices aren't always the most friendly things to tinker with there. But from a standpoint of web design, how a tab or window reacts when it opens in something new is entirely browser specific and it's computer specific. It's not, you don't define what happens to it when it opens in a new tab. It's my settings might be different than your settings there. So if someone has their settings set that the new window opens up in the background, not in the foreground, and someone can't actually see that they're opening a new window, they can't see that a new window has opened. There's no way to define that a new window has opened when you click on that link, either for a document or for external site or even internal sites. for
There
things
may
of that
be a
nature.
way to, because when I was delving deep into this, because our site just went from open everything except if it didn't open in our site, we opened it on a new tab. Now that we're going this route, we are not going to do that for accessibility reasons. So I had to dig deep to find in some, not just UW, but accessibility information. And there are a handful of things that they say that was written that's like, this would not be a good thing to open in the same tab. But when something is going to open in a new tab, and I guess that was one of my questions, and maybe I have to go Google it, that you let the user know this is opening in a new tab.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to let there's
So-
something that you
So
can
in
do.
training, what I show is specifically with links within a text block, when you are creating that new link, in the text that is linked, I would put in parentheses next to that link, this link will open in a brand new window or tab. So in that way, I have informed the audience that something is going to happen so that it's not just random, where is it going to open at that point? So, I mean, it's, at the end of the day, we can't be the angel on your shoulder to tell you what you should and shouldn't do, but it would be from our standpoint, from an accessibility standpoint and a user experience standpoint, this is one of those things that we would just say, just don't bother with, because you're going to, there are potential, and it may never happen, but there's a potential for issue there that the door opens from that standpoint when you start to do that stuff.
And Meg, to the part 2 of your question about external links as well. So I know a while ago, marketing folks really pushed opening external links in a new tab because it had ramifications on SEO and bounce rates and all of that. But the standard now is to add some sort of icon or visual cue that lets the user know that it will be that it is an external link and it's going to take them to a new site, but still not opening it up in a new tab.
So when I think about SEO or about our analytics, if somebody's on a page, on the fish page, and then they leave to follow a link to go to some other site, and then use their browser button to come back.
That would be 2 sessions.
It counts as 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though in lots of ways, functionally, it's just 1 for that person.
Mhm.
They're just in the paragraph, and they go explore something and come back.
I think the idea behind not opening anything in a new tab is that you're hijacking the user's interaction and making assumptions for them. Where a lot of folks may right click on the link anyway, open it in a new tab, but that's their decision.
And we'll get off this topic, I'm sure, but is there any way to handle some of these things through media queries so that if somebody's on mobile, like I can have links behave differently? Or if they're using.
I don't think you can handle it through CSS, but and we can talk offline about this, but it might be something that you can handle with JavaScript or something like that.
I'll follow up the comments by saying that internally our team has been talking a little bit about accessibility, some of these very same issues, and the fact that if you run a report on your site right now for accessibility and say, hey, what do I do about this? We don't really have the capacity to help you with that, which really is not a good position for us to be in as we preach accessibility to you. And you then say, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. And then we go, well, we can't help you. It's not a great position for us to be in. With that said, I know that our developers focus on accessibility and the design of the template to make that as accessible as possible. And that we have been talking internally about how we can better handle accessibility for you guys if you use our service. What that will lead to, if anything, I don't know yet, but it is it's a bigger issue than just our team. It's a campus issue. And I think it's being taken more seriously than, I think it's always been serious, but I think there's a lot of eyes looking at it right now. So if anything comes about from a campus level perspective, we'll let you guys know about that as well.
You want to show them where they can access the ANT tool?
No. Let's,
And why don't you just show them the list?
Just show them, just show
Oh,
them a
yeah,
list of
yeah,
resources.
so-
I don't mean go through using
Yes.
the AMP tool.
so
No.
there is, on campus
We're not time for
resources,
that.
we do have an accessibility section as well. And this is where if you go run the AMP tool and then say, hey, how do I fix these things to us? We're not in a great position. Other than telling you this is where you can check your accessibility. But maybe, hopefully, we can change that. Okay, so if I can, let's try to finish up with the reusable content, and then we'll have a little bit of time left for more questions. So we're in menus. We got that settled. We are looking at Phil, you said you're gonna be a couple minutes late.
It's a couple, a couple 20s.
All right, so we've got these featured content blocks. This one is for brown bags. This one is for news. This is for WiscWeb training. They show up here. Now, one other interesting thing that I don't have set up because this is our old sandbox environment that doesn't have up-to-date content. But one interesting thing you could do is if you have categorized posts for events or blog or whatever, you could also add that underneath, say, your WiscWeb training, and then put your brown bag posts and your last 3 of those under the training and display that consistently. And I specifically put this on here for you because if you have events and you want to show the newest or the upcoming 3 events, that might be a way to do this, where you put here are the Weissman events for blah, and then you put the latest posts with those categories underneath it, and you can display that in multiple places. Displays the same across multiple places. And when you update it, it stays the same across multiple places. So there might be a way to how this goes. So I do want to show you guys so that's how this, and then here's how this displays. I want to show you how to get to the excerpt on these pages so that you want to use or play around with this feature, you can do so. At the top of every page, as we mentioned before, there's this hidden screen options way over here in the corner. And this by default is not checked, the excerpt. If you check it, you will get at the bottom of the page, and it just deleted this, or this one didn't have one. It will have this excerpt section, and this is the piece of text you can enter that will display on the reusable content demo. So if I were to type something in there and then add as a feature block, this is the content that will display. And I'll show you that on the
Is there a KB
next
phone?
page. There's not right now. We just have kind of the basics of the service, so how to use each of the blocks, and we're not even up to date necessarily on all those because we have to do the media library. We have for all the plugins and all the content page elements. I'm blanking out here. But excerpts is on my list of things to get added. So if you want to use this, you can learn how to do
We
it.
show one more time how you got excerpts to show up.
Yes, up in the top there's a screen options. There are other things you can turn on or off, but I think the most relevant is the excerpt if you want to use it.
And then how do you call that excerpt? If it exists, then it will display.
If it exists, it will
There's a-
display for featured content block. April, or Jamie, are you guys aware of anywhere else the excerpt gets pulled in?
There's a lot of places where that's used. So on things like posts, this is auto-generated. So if, if you just have a standard blog post, it's going to generate an excerpt for you, and that's what's used like in your archive when it just shows you the short version. So this is a way on certain things where, this you've got infinite amounts of content, so it's not generating one for you. On things that it does, you can override it. So if you want to customize what displays, but the featured content block, pretty much any element where it's like feature something from a post, it's going to pull from whatever you put in this excerpt field.
And so we'll try to document sort of all those different use cases for excerpts once we get a document out there. Yes.
So can you use this on like a post list, like for events? You can use the excerpt? And then
Yeah.
you can have it show up for one series of events, you'd have one excerpt. You have another series of events, you'd have another one.
Well, the
That's
excerpt is
Yep.
tied to each individual post, so you couldn't have the same event display different excerpts on different pages.
Do you have the ability to set an excerpt for a category? Maybe that's the question. So
I don't think so.
There's a
Categories
description.
can have sort of a description, but that wouldn't get pulled into like the latest posts element. So if you have one news post or a page, you get one excerpt for it. You can use that same excerpt. You can decide to use it or not, so you can turn it on and off on other places where you feature it, but you can't have 2 different excerpts.
Right, so here's the latest post added to this page, and you can see there's this option to show the excerpt or not, which is going to give you, so here's latest posts, is you can 5 posts from, this whatever category, the brown bag category, show the image associated with it, show the date, and show the excerpt. Or, if I remember, in fact, I know, you go to,
So you did just change the excerpt with the category though, right?
Those are the excerpts for each of
it's
the posts.
correct. Each individual post will have that. And here are, if you go to our latest posts page in the WISC website, it's going to show you a whole bunch. Here's 2 identical posts, one with everything turned on, one with none of them turned on. And so you can pick and choose what you want to display there.
So
Yeah.
the question that I imagine she's asking that I want to see would be, so suppose instead of showing the excerpts for the post, we wanted to include as one of our links, a link to a category of posts. Just the link to the category. It would be nice to be able to have a description of what those category posts tend to be about. That if they were to click on it, they would then see the cascading list of posts with the excerpts or not.
Is there?
Yeah.
I guess I would make a
There's
text, I would make a
Categories can
text block
receive
and then,
descriptions.
Yeah.
Right.
It
So
would just be
there's-
the hook that would display it.
yeah.
There's no page element that's gonna pull in all of your categories. That's not to say that there couldn't be one in the future if that's a really common need. Every category does get a page and you can set what that slug is. So you could take a text box element or anything else and link to that category page. And I don't believe that will let you set an excerpt because excerpts are just for page or post elements
But
and the
can
category
receive
serve as
descriptions
archive,
though, right?
you know?
Yep.
Well,
Category has a you can enter.
you can enter it, but it's not a visible item. You would, if you wanted to, you could create a text block that you could put that same description into the text block itself and then link directly to a specific
There's no
category.
tool that's all the
No,
description
no.
displayed anywhere.
Mhm.
That can be done in WordPress. There's a function that can call the category description, but that would be something that would be custom development for your site.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I'm going to show 1 or 2 more things here, and then we'll open it up to questions. So this was the 3rd demo page I showed, and we asked about the image before. I just want to show you that is, again, so I've featured content block, news, and then there's this option which you can see here, add image. I've done that for this one. This is how it displays, adds an image to the news featured content block. The last thing I do want to show in our KB is that in addition to some maps documents, we have, or at least should have, I believe I've added the user documentation for how to add a new, I don't know why it's not in here. Thought I activated them. I will double check. We have documentation coming. If I can get it live today, I will, but in the very near future for how to maintain users on your own site so that you don't have to keep sending those requests to us. Hopefully will make your lives easier and our lives easier.
And who's gonna have that ability?
Administrators in your site.
Say that all over again?
Yep. So currently, as people need to be added to projects, you send those requests to us and we add them. We have documentation that is, I thought was live and is not, but so I'll get it live. That will allow site administrators in WordPress to add users to your project so that you can do that much more quickly than.
Are there any restrictions on the roles that those users can be added with?
I think just the default roles. There's we haven't added any more complex roles at this point. There are some plugins that allow you to create like custom roles. I believe so, yes.
When you have multiple admin, is there a notification that goes out to say, hey, this person's been added?
I don't think so. Would you like that?
Maybe.
I don't know if such a thing. I guess our assumption is that if an administrator is adding another user, that's good enough.
Okay.
But if, or maybe you guys have your own process for like, hey, I'm adding this person, you have like an administrator list. I'm not sure. We can, if you think there's a need, let us know and we can figure out if there's anything we can do. Okay, so that's all I wanted to, that was the last couple things I want to talk about. We have 11 minutes and possibly some overtime, so please feel free to ask any questions that you have. Yes,
Is there a way to add a custom URL for a page?
custom URL for a page.
Like basically a forwarding URL. So I would create a page
Yep.
that I actually, when somebody typed in that URL, I actually want to bounce them to a different page.
We can do a redirect for such a thing. So we have a new redirect plugin that, Phil, do administrators have access to it or we have it turned off?
We've only turned it on a couple of sites.
Okay.
Because
I would
there's a
say
lot of
go
ways-
through
there's
us.
A lot of ways you can have problems very fast.
Go, so yeah, if you have
But
a,
if you have redirects,
send them to us. So if you have either a page like a .htm that's just going to go to a new WordPress page or whatever, we have done that. What sites have we done that in? Can I select them?
you're talking specifically about send them to somewhere other than your site.
No, it would be a page within my site, but for example, if I had a page that had a really long URL and I was looking to also create sort of a base page with a very simple URL that could bounce them to the deeper page, is there a way to create a page with that simpler URL still within my site that would just redirect?
You can manually override the slug. Would that be helpful? Or is it-
Well, but I have nested parent and child pages, so that's.
That you want to maintain that from that aspect, but you want to be able to publish, go to my site /students, and it goes to students / blah,
But
blah,
it's
blah.
within education.
You want like a simple share URL. that's like-
Yeah,
is it hard to remember?
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Is
in the-
that
in my
something-
old, WordPress site, I could do that really easily, and I just was wondering.
Is that something we should be doing with the reader? I don't know, do you have any insight into this, Phil, or after you finish chewing your cookie? I'll keep talking to fill the space and no one will know what he's actually doing.
I was just curious because I have two different test sites right now, and one of them has it still, and one of them doesn't, and they're both in the UWP, but I wonder if there's slightly different versions. But it surprised me that one has it and the other doesn't.
So it's probably is a good example. There's a bunch of ways to do this. And one, even you're talking about like, maybe it's actually just a slug modifications, not a redirect. And there may be something like that, but if you have those specifics, we can take a look at it and talk to
Okay.
you about what all of the options are.
Okay.
So we've got a plugin that helps, and we've used that for a couple of sites that had some very specific things. They had like 10, 15 old URLs that they needed to go to the exact new pages. A bunch of other people have asked for, basically, everything's new, keep none of the old names. I just want everybody to go to the homepage. So that was another one that's been implemented as well.
And also very common for people to have, this is what I want to put on my brochure.
Right,
So that's
exactly.
short and
that's
then
more what I
goes to
was
the long
thinking of,
version.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
So I understand, well, I don't remember, but I remember I did it, created a homepage.
Yep.
On the far right-hand side is a page called Art and Science.
Okay.
There's nothing underneath it. When I click on Art and Science, I want the page to show up.
Yep.
I get that clicking on Art and Science is nothing more than clicking on some words. How do I get it? I can't remember, like, I don't know what to do to make that happen. That I must have to have a page, right? Like I've got to create a page called Art and Science.
Right. So this is, I emailed you about this one too, right?
Yes, sometimes I have no idea what we're really talking about.
It's fine. That's why we have these.
Yes, exactly.
Art and Science is in your main menu.
Correct.
So, and I think what we see here, so this is a custom link, okay? That's very similar to the media one we were talking about where you
It's a
copy.
custom link, just like all the other titles.
Right.
It's a
So
custom
if you want this to go to the Art and Science page, there's a couple ways you can do this. The first would be change this URL to the art. You have to create an Art and Science page and paste that in here.
So
Okay.
that when they
Or-
click on that, okay,
Just use the page
Just create the
Art
page
and
then
Science
add it to your menu instead.
right here,
They'll make a custom one.
add to menu. Now you have two Art and Science, but this is this is the page,
right, I created a page.
right? So you could get rid of this. So those would be the two ways to do it.
But I want the words Art and Science to be in the main menu.
It will be.
Yeah, it will be.
Oh,
You don't.
It's going to
yeah,
use the name of the page in the menu.
The nav headers are only for if you need that menu stroke, that drop down menu function.
Right.
You can mix and match where you have a drop down menu, then one link. Drop down menu, one link.
Right. So Matt, so you want to use the custom link here when you have sub menu options.
So
right?
custom link should be for external link or link to other existing page that you just want to put
but I
up.
would never want to make that main menu custom link shoot out somewhere else.
You could do that too.
Oh,
It could be an external, yeah, so it can be either be an external link
Okay,
to another site entirely, or it can be used as sort of like the nav header to compare it to what we use in open text. It's the navigation header structure there.
What
So-
you don't want to use it for is linking to one of the pages on your site, because then what you're doing is you're hard coding in that URL.
Yep.
So if you decide that art and science should just become art, that won't change. So you'll be linking to art and science, and it'll be a dead link because you took that page away.
Yeah.
But if you use that page, it's dynamic, so you're just linking to the idea of this page. As long as that page exists, no matter what you do about changing the name or the URL,
That
it'll
menu
know
label
to
is-
follow you there.
So to show everyone how this works in practice, here's the current art and science link, which has the hashtag URL, so it doesn't go anywhere. It's going to hashtag, it doesn't exist. So I added the page. Now, if I save the menu, theoretically, and hopefully this works, so I look like I know what I'm doing.
You look smart.
I look like I know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'll ever look smart. This will actually now go to the art science page, which there it is, but this link still does not work because it's the custom link that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many times you click on it, it won't work.
Won't work, yeah. I could try. I'll try the rest. I'll try for the next 4 minutes and we'll see if it goes.
Is it something like that?
No, this is their preview site.
I guess I would just.
So now you have two options, and I'll let you figure out how to get rid of the other one.
I can get rid of it, but what you said was,
Pop
it would be
quiz.
best not to
Yeah,
use the
best.
first one customly, and then use the actual link called art and science. It would be better to use the page. Okay.
Because then you're linking to an element that's already in your WordPress site.
And when I created that page, and I slide it over, when I slide it over into this main menu, that automatically puts it across the top.
Yes. Main menu is a special menu. It is always your top navigation. You can create other menus, and I think you can tell you can tell WordPress which one is your main menu, but it's sort of main menu is a special thing, and utility menu is the same way. So here's your utility menu up at the top. Main and utility are their own special things. Other menus you can create and use elsewhere, but they will not show up. These should always show up in these two places. Other questions? Okay, it's 12:57. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up the live stream. If anybody in person has questions, we will be happy to hang around until you no longer have questions. But thanks for coming, everyone on the stream and everyone in person. And we will obviously be meeting again in April. We will discuss internally how to do the communications piece we talked about at the beginning and keeping you guys up to date on what features are out there. And yeah, thanks for all the feedback, and we'll see you again next month. Thank you.